It is a normal thing for a man to cheat. You better, just you that is getting married, just take it into your brain that your man must cheat.
Senegal's new leader, he's the youngest in the history of Senegal, and he also practices polygamy.
Faye, aged 44, shares children with his first wife, Kone, whereas Absa, the other wife, is yet to have children with the incoming president.
I give you 100 million to leave your boyfriend, can you?
Give me 100 million to leave my boyfriend? No. Never. God just bless me with him, so.
If your boyfriend cheats on you now, will you break up?
No, baby cheats. No problem. I've come to stay.
You have come to stay. You are the first.
I'm there.
Yes.
I'm the man. Okay. I caught him with my best friend on bed. Yeah, they saw me.
Well, how did you react?
I just helped them to lock the door, then went home.
My dear, this is from the roots, from the origin. Even God supports them in their cheat. Remember in the Bible, David was a man after God's heart. Upon that, he sleep with somebody's wife, sleep with girlfriends, sleep with concubines, sleep with housemaid, anything woman. Upon that, God still forgive him.
The female reproductive cycle comes around once a month. For a man, it's every day. For each sexual act, the woman's one egg is matched by the man's 120 million sperm cells. And let's do some calculation. 120 million sperm cells a day, every day, as opposed to one egg a month every month, means, assuming all the cells are viable, that it will take only 30 men to impregnate all the women in the world. This points to one clear fact. A man is, by nature, polygamous. Monogamy and fidelity are unnatural situations promulgated by religious beliefs and social pressures. Take those away, every man will cheat.
Monogamy has failed for the white man in America.
But this is like saying it's okay.
It's not me saying it's okay. This is how they're living. I'm giving you the history of what their life is. Black men haven't been waiting on me to tell them it's all right to have more than one woman. Neither have white men. You know, this is just what they do. I'm not talking about fornication and adultery. I'm not talking about one-night stands and running around rampant with other women. That's not the kinds of when I say more than one woman relationship. I mean that before we came to America, our men had more than one wife and family. And we were satisfied with it because we had not met the monogamy idea. All right, after coming here, those kinds of ideas were bred into us because of society.
You can't kill a man because he cheats. Just allow them to be the way God created them. So, men cheat all the way. All the way, even pastors, number one self. So men cheating, like their second name.
This week, I came across a video that absolutely shocked me because the statistics put forward in this video points to the idea that monogamy is failing modern society.
82 million American men subscribe to OnlyFans. The average OnlyFans customer is a white married man.
So the question I have is, does Africa have any solutions if monogamy is failing? Now, I know this is a subject matter that many people are not even willing to entertain because of religious reasons, because of moral reasons, etc. But if you decide to continue watching this video, I promise you that I will tackle this subject matter with objectivity, balance, and fairness to the best of my ability. If you're interested in that, stay tuned. For those of you that don't know me, my name is TJ. I'm Nigerian and British mixed. I currently live in Uganda with my partner Medina, and there is obviously many culture shocks that you will encounter being someone that grew up mostly in the UK, then moving to Africa to start a new life. One of the things that I've encountered is that polygamy is way more accepted, as well as cheating and a kind of open style relationships, where it's an open secret that many married men have girlfriends, sometimes even endorsed by their wives here on the continent. Indeed, my grandfather was Yoruba and he had multiple wives, and my partner Medina's father currently, he has multiple wives. So this is something that I have some sort of proximity to. So the reason this subject became something I wanted to talk about was because I came across this video.
Wait, 1.4 million women in...
Before we continue, I couldn't find the original video. I searched high and low. So in the beginning, she says 1.4 million.
Wait, 1.4 million women in America do OnlyFans. 1.2 million is between 18 and 24. What percent of women, how many women in America are between 18 to 24? I find out roughly 10 million women. So just on OnlyFans alone, 10% of women in that age group are on OnlyFans. So There's only 10 million women between 18 to 25. Then I decided to think more about the consumers. Who is consuming OnlyFans? And I found out that 82 million American men subscribe to OnlyFans. Now, to think about how big that number is, how many people are in America? 165 million men are in the United States. And they're telling me that 82 million out of 162 million are subscribed to OnlyFans. Of the 82 million men subscribed to OnlyFans, 90% are married. 87% of OnlyFans users are male, and 68% of OnlyFans users are white. So the average OnlyFans customer is a white married man.
So I went and I tried to verify these numbers. The only number that I couldn't absolutely verify was that 80 million men are subscribed to OnlyFans. But we can be sure it's an extremely high number for a couple of reasons. One of the reasons is because the revenue generated from America is so vast. So we can say that more or less everything she said in this clip is accurate. So if monogamy is working out for everyone and it's so good, why do we have a situation where the majority of married men in America are subscribed to OnlyFans and have these pseudo-digital relationships with other women online? Why is it that porn is rampant and at the level that we're at? Not to mention, 50% of marriages end up in divorce. And infidelity, of course, is a major cause of divorce. So the question around monogamy, when people get emotional about it and say, oh, it's so immoral, it's so whatever. If we just strip away all of that, a huge percentage of men have some kind of non-monogamous relationship, be it in secret, be it digital or otherwise. This right here is the president of Senegal, and he publicly has 2 wives. And this is something anecdotal. But how many presidents in countries in the West have more than 1 wife? What we know is that Bill Clinton had a Monica Lewinsky. What we know is that Donald Trump had a Stormy Daniels. Secret, hush, hush, oh my goodness, he's such a terrible person relationship. And those are the ones we know of. Here we have somebody that before the election carried both of his wives to go and do campaign, and the country still voted for him. I'm sure you saw all of the intro videos that I put at the start of this video. And you can basically just find example after example where African women basically have a baseline understanding. Of course, it's not every African woman, but there is still a significant baseline of African women that simply say, this is the nature of men. Men are always going to want multiple women, and we have systems in place, we have ideas in place, we have protocols in place to embrace or understand for this kind of situation.
Okay, so welcome to the deep dive, everybody. Today we're diving into a pretty big question.
Yeah.
Is modern monogamy, especially in like the US and the West, is it actually working?
Right.
Like, is it holding up? Are we seeing cracks? Are there alternatives?
Yeah.
And we've got a whole bunch of different sources to dig into this.
Yeah.
Articles, statistics, even looking at some other cultures.
Right.
To really see how they're doing things. So our mission today is to kind of distill all this information down for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. You've given me material that looks at all sides of this debate, right?
Yeah.
We've got people arguing for and against monogamy. We've got the numbers painting a picture of relationships today.
Yeah.
And then, these really fascinating glimpses into other cultures that have totally different ways of approaching partnerships.
Yeah.
So the big thing we're going to be exploring is this tension between, that desire for a lasting connection,
right,
but also like all the pressures and realities of modern life.
Yeah. And, and speaking of those pressures, let's kind of dig into some of those pressure points on modern monogamy.
Right
here in the West. I mean, the data is telling us that there are some challenges, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you see statistics like over 50% of U.S. marriages ending in divorce.
Wow.
That definitely points to a fragility in the traditional model as you experience it, right?
Yeah.
And then the fact that prenuptial agreements are so common now.
Oh, yeah.
That kind of suggests that maybe there's a little bit of caution about that lifelong commitment, even from the start.
So a simplistic view is to think that if you're heading into marriage in the modern day, you run a 50% chance of that failing. And people say, oh, I believe in true love, I believe in monogamy, I believe in all of that. But when you sign a prenup, that's also an endorsement to say, look, the underlying truth is I understand true human nature, and this guy is probably going to cheat on me, or this girl is probably going to cheat on me, because you're backing it up with your action. And of course, you can assign that to male dog negative behavior by nasty narcissistic people that can't control their urges. On the other hand, if it is so rampant, if it is multi-generational, if it is something that we've had to create contracts around, does that not suggest that this may be something more than just urges that people have, something more intrinsic within humans themselves?
A little lack of trust even going in, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And it's not even just the formal end of marriages. It's that rise in single parent homes too. That,
right.
While it's complex, it often reflects that breakdown of those partnerships.
If the outcome is that if a partner cheats, then the relationship is broken up and there's kids in that home, I think that is probably one of the most devastating aspects of all of this, because all of the statistics bear out that kids do better when both their parents are present. So if there was maybe a little more understanding, or a little door was opened for infidelity, would that mean that more marriages would stay together, and therefore a healthier relationship for the kids, a healthy environment for the kids to grow up in would be formed? Good question to ask there.
Absolutely.
And then you've got the big elephant in the room, infidelity.
Yeah, that's the tough one.
The numbers are showing us, 25% of men and 11% of women?
Yeah, around there.
Reporting infidelity. That's a huge portion of people experiencing these breaches in the monogamous agreement.
Absolutely. And what's interesting is the way digital intimacy plays into all of this.
Those stats, 11% and 25%, I don't think they account for the digital version of infidelity, let's say, because some people don't even class that as infidelity, but it shows the underlying factor of looking for sexual gratification in a place other than your partner.
Yeah.
It's a whole new landscape.
Yeah. This is where it gets really interesting, because you've got platforms like OnlyFans.
Right.
And the data is suggesting that a big percentage of male subscribers, like 60 to almost 90%,
wow,
are married.
And they're not just browsing, they're actually financially supporting these creators for this personalized content. And with over 1 million American women as creators, and the vast majority of subscribers being men, spending, sometimes a significant amount of money each month.
It really blurs the lines of what even is intimacy and infidelity.
It does.
And nowadays, these ladies are using AI, or they're using Teams to interact with these men. So all the men get these one-on-one personal experiences. They say, oh, how's your day going? Are you having a bad day, John? Oh, I'm really sorry about that. Maybe I can cheer you up with a personalized nude. And they'll send a personalized nude with maybe a message to John on it, or a personalized video where they talk to John on it. Not to mention the rise of accounts that are completely AI. So the women that the men are subscribed to are not even real women. They're AI, artificial intelligence. When those girls are able to facilitate one-on-one conversations directly, these men build a kind of one-sided relationship where they feel invested in this girl, they feel connected to this girl, and it becomes this kind of genuine relationship from the guy's point of view, at the very least, that is exchanged for money.
It asks this really important question about, where are the boundaries of a monogamous relationship in this digital world, right?
Right.
Is this, some people call it pseudo cheating. It's like this online behavior that feels like a transgression, but without physical contact.
Yeah.
Is that a sign of unmet needs within the relationship?
Right.
Or is it just this new form of exploration we're figuring out?
Right. Or is it both?
Yeah, exactly. And if you connect this to the bigger picture, some sources are even suggesting that monogamy itself might go against fundamental human desires and create these societal pressures.
Yeah, it's not a perfect system for sure.
Yeah.
But it's not all doom and gloom for monogamy in the West, right?
Oh, no, not at all.
I mean, there are some strong arguments in favor of it that our sources bring up.
Yeah, monogamy has historically provided this sense of social stability.
Right.
It's a framework for raising children.
Right.
It maintains a certain kind of order. And beyond that, a lot of individuals find deep emotional fulfillment and romantic satisfaction in committed monogamous relationships.
So is that not possible in this framework here? So they mentioned framework for raising children, deep connections, emotional ties, all of those things. Is that possible in this framework? So I think it's not a given that only monogamy provides some of those things.
Totally. And we can't forget about the practical benefits.
Right.
Legal recognition, tax benefits, inheritance, spousal support. These are all tied to monogamous marriage.
Absolutely.
But they don't have to be. Why can't you have all of those things in a framework for polygamous relationships? Also, there is a question around the wealth of the family. What if you have a situation where you have one household that has 3 or 4 incomes? What if you have a situation where a household with 3 people has 2 incomes and one is the primary carer of the home? These are different dynamics that could actually be more beneficial financially, right? Now, you might say I'm being one-sided, but there are assumptions baked into this positioning that only monogamous relationships can have these elements that they're talking about.
Absolutely.
And, as we all know, many couples do have happy, lasting marriages.
Right.
So
that's true.
It can and does work.
It definitely can.
For a lot.
For the record, my parents have been together for 5 decades. They're still together now. They have a monogamous relationship and it's been very successful for them. I also feel very blessed to be in a family where that has been the case. The support, the moral compass, and everything that they provided for me, the frameworks they provided for me have been very beneficial. I grew up in a Christian household. Some of those values helped me in my development and moving forward in life and so on and so forth. So you cannot deny that for some people, monogamy works.
A lot of people. But I think it's important to broaden our perspective.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And look at some alternative models of relationships. And this is where looking at African societies gets really interesting.
Absolutely.
Because in a lot of these cultures, polygamy isn't just accepted.
Right.
It's deeply rooted. It's a common practice.
Yeah, it's a part of their cultural fabric.
Yeah. And for many, it's seen as a practical solution for things like childlessness or providing economic stability for extended families.
Yeah.
Of course, you have 5 wives. That generally means you have a lot of children, and now you've got a workforce to work the farm. Those things are kind of unique to societies that are further removed from modern society, where there's a different economic landscape. You work in an office, you work online. Those types of things don't require lots of manual labor per se.
Yeah, it's about creating these strong support networks by pooling resources and labor,
right?
Which is very different from the more isolated Western family structure.
Yeah, much more community-based.
Absolutely.
And it also theoretically reduces the pressure on one person to fulfill every single need of their partner.
He mentioned community there. I would like to ask you, if you're in the West somewhere, you're in Europe, you're in America, what do you think community is like compared with if you're in the average African city or the average African town? Because let me tell you, even in the location that I am here, there is way stronger sense of community. People parent other people's kids. Everyone talks to everyone. Everyone greets everyone. Everyone knows everyone. Have we built a true sense of community in the West compared with the quality of community that is here on the continent?
Right. You're not putting all your eggs in one basket, so to speak.
Right, exactly.
It acknowledges that different individuals might meet different needs, and that can introduce a degree of flexibility within a cultural framework.
Right. And there's that famous example of the guy with over 100 wives.
Oh, yeah. A cuckoo danger.
Yeah.
It became a whole cultural phenomenon.
Yeah. I don't know who that is. I don't even know if that's a real person. But there's always going to be someone that takes it to extreme. But generally, there's an understanding that if a man has multiple wives, he has the capacity and the ability to provide for all of those wives. I know the singer Fela Kuti famously had 30 plus wives, and they all lived in one big compound in Lagos. And it's also interesting that women will gravitate towards that kind of high social status, high wealth individual, right? I'm sure there's going to be a lot of talk about, the man is taking on all these wives. Well, when all the wives want to be with that man, what does that say about the women as well?
Yeah. So these examples really highlight how ingrained it is in certain regions.
Absolutely.
But of course, these African-based models, they come with their own challenges too.
They do, for sure.
Especially when you view them from a broader perspective.
Yeah, a big concern that's often raised is the potential for gender inequality.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
In a lot of polygamous contexts, there's that risk of male dominance.
Right.
And limited agency for women,
yeah,
which could lead to competition between co-wives or unequal resource distribution.
So I have firsthand knowledge about this situation. My family talks about rivalry between wives, and that led to uncomfortable situations, and it can even lead to things like where kids are treated badly by, wives that are not the mother of that child, but that child is left in the care of that mother. There's also the hierarchy of the wives. Well, I'm the first wife, or I'm the youngest wife. There's all of these tensions. There are egos. There is jealousy. And those types of things do exist in these situations. And that must be acknowledged. It's not all roses.
Totally. And then there are the emotional complexities of navigating multiple relationships.
It's not easy.
Jealousy and conflict are bound to happen.
They're real possibilities, for sure.
And from a Western perspective, the cultural differences are huge.
Oh,
Widespread acceptance here just seems unlikely.
It's hard to imagine.
Given our deeply ingrained norms about relationships.
Right.
And plus, legally, it's restricted in many Western countries.
Yeah, there are those legal barriers.
So to sum it all up, it seems like modern monogamy here in the West is facing some real challenges.
It is.
And while these African models offer some intriguing alternatives,
they do.
They also come with their own set of complexities.
For sure. Especially
when it comes to gender dynamics and whether they'd even work in a Western context.
Way to stay on the fence and not give a proper conclusion. So I think and then now I'm thinking about that. Maybe I'm also going to get on the fence. I think it's about the mindset of the individuals involved. There are many strategies. There are men that are always going to say, well, I'm going to cheat. There are couples that are going to have open relationships, and there are couples that are going to have polygamous relationships. As long as those decisions to enter into one of those situations are not coming from a broken place, a place of hurt, exploitation, only because of financial circumstances, for example, or because of deep insecurities that one party or another party may have, I think any of these frameworks can actually work and survive. What I would hope that happens is that we can take away the judgment from whichever lifestyle one person or another chooses to take when it comes to these types of relationships. I also believe that it is probably true that men are not designed for monogamy. I think this is a relatively modern situation, but our biology goes back hundreds of thousands of years. And just because we've built up a modern framework or a religious framework, be it polygamy, Muslims side, or be it monogamy, Christian side, doesn't necessarily mean that that marries up with the millions and hundreds of thousands of years of evolution that we've developed.
The female reproductive cycle comes around once a month. For a man, it's every day. For each sexual act, the woman's one egg is matched by the man's 120 million sperm cells. Now let's do some calculation. 120 million sperm cells a day, every day, as opposed to one egg a month, every month, means, assuming all the cells are viable, that it will take only 30 men to impregnate all the women in the world. This points to one clear fact. A man is, by nature, polygamous.
I'm sure there's a lot of opinions about this subject matter, which you are please welcome to put in the comment section. Maybe I've missed something. Maybe there's something I don't understand. But if you don't have something specific to say, would it be too much for me to ask you to say no judgment in the comment section? It lets me know that you've watched the video to the end, you're supporting the channel, and you love what I'm doing. You want me to continue. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.
Thank you.